All right, everybody. Once again, here we are at the NONA Sports Cast, and I am super excited about this conversation. We've been here for the last 25 minutes, and I wish we turned on the camera when my next guest arrived, because we started the conversation and I had to stop him. I had to say, stop talking, because we need to leave some content for the camera. I am here today with probably one of the hardest jobs when it comes to community, because he has to make decisions. He has to look at players to take it to the Orlando City Academy. And unfortunately, there's not a space for everybody. And I'm here with Jose Campos. Thank you so much, Jose, for coming. It's a pleasure. I heard so much about you now that my son is there working with you guys, and everybody speaks highly of you. And I say, I need to talk to these guys. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending time with me, and thanks for spending time with the NONA players. I know we've been seeing a lot of you. The doors are always open for you, and I wanna get to know more. And hopefully, in your shoes, we need to do this at least maybe twice a year, because I think it's important for all the new generation of kids that's coming up to hear what you have to say and then create that. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is going to be fun. So, Jose, before Orlando City, before we start getting into that, because you're relatively new here, right? How long you been here?
A year and 3 months.
A year and 3 months. So you're relatively new, and you alongside with Javi and the team, you guys are running one of the best academies in the country.
Absolutely.
And I have so much respect, as I was telling you, for how much the Orlando City Academy has grown in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's impressive how the numbers, and now I'm seeing firsthand, because I'm there as a father, and I'm there as a. It's funny that I'm in a difficult position, because I'm there as a father, I'm there as a feeder, and I'm there as a competitor.
You are.
but I like the relationship, and but. What was of Jose before that? What did you do before you come to Orlando?
A little over the place. I have a kind of like a different background than most of the scouts. I played soccer, obviously, in Spain all my career, but I studied business. I went to one of those guys that in Spain realized that you could play 6, 7 division and make nothing really, or go to college and try to have a career in the soccer business. My goal at the beginning was to be, and it still probably is, not to be a sporting director or an agent. I always like the transaction part. I always enjoy the last day of the transfer market. That's my thing. That's what I like. I like signing players. So I went to I studied business, and then I moved a little bit all over the world. I was lucky enough that thanks to soccer, I went to England, China, Nigeria, and I've been in the United States for 11 years now, East Coast, West Coast. I went to the West Coast to study at the University of Oregon, and I did an MBA in sports business. So I'm very business person, which helps me to understand relationships are important, negotiation is important, and it's not only scouting the player, it's understanding who you are as an academy and what type of player and person fit in that style. So when I was in Oregon, I was lucky enough to be with the Oregon Youth Soccer Association, directing the leagues and competitions. I was with the Timbers, working with the pre-academy. I was in college. So I spent a lot of my time in the U.S. in Oregon. And then before Orlando City, I went to New York to work for a company called GMA that is mostly famous for owning Capelli Sport, big sports apparel brand right now. They also own Cedar Stars Academy and have a few clubs in Europe. And I was the technical director there, working in that pathway from players in North America to the teams in Europe, both on men's and women's side. So we had a couple of success stories.
George.
I work for George, yeah.
Love him.
I work for George. Yeah.
George is a legendary. I love his vision. I met with him, and very nice. That's interesting.
I bet he met with every single DLC and owner of clubs in North America. Yeah, so they own HP Cook in Denmark, MSV Duisburg in Germany, Barnsley Women's in England, and a team in Ghana and a team in Finland. So it was fun to work in that professional side in Europe. That's when I come from, and also in North America with scouting players here.
Very nice. And from all of those roles, how's MLS?
Pretty good. That's what I wanted. As much as I enjoy working with the European soccer, and especially where I'm coming from, I wanted to be in a first division level. I'm going to say the teams that GMA owns were second division in Denmark, third division in Germany. I wanted MLS. I wanted first division. I want a top 10 league in the world. and MLS gave me that opportunity, and Orlando City gave me that opportunity, so that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, I believe it's the only problem that MLS has, in my opinion, is geography.
Yes.
It's a lot of traveling, and unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. Like, unfortunately, the market still doesn't fit in a market like Orlando, 3 or 4 first teams, and that's how it is. So it's I'm going through with my kids, going through with our youth club, which is much smaller case, but I can only imagine the budget for you guys to be traveling, to Miami, Tampa, Miami, Atlanta, and so on and so forth. It must be a tough.
Yeah, that's why there is only 2 divisions that play what is called Pro Pathway, which is U18s and U16s, just because it's too much money.
Yeah.
At the end, you're traveling. Last weekend, we were in Philadelphia Union. No? We have to travel with, let's say, 20 players with the U18s, 20 players with the 16, let's say 5, 6 staff members each. That's 50 people. Flights, hotels, it becomes one trip is fine. It's like going to a tournament, but once you do that every other weekend, it adds up.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that we've seen a lot with MLS, MLS Flex now with the local teams, and then MLS2. I think they're helping. It's helping that, but at the high level, it's tough. When I'm from Brazil and from Spain, it's a smaller country. So in Brazil, there's a state championship with 15 academy clubs, just in São Paulo, right? And then you go to Rio, there's a state cup with 15 clubs, first and second division. So the competition is there, and you don't have to be doing a lot of traveling.
Correct. That's one of the biggest issues that I have with North American soccer, that it's going to struggle to get where we want it to be because there are so many leagues, so many options, instead of being unified. And I think someone that I was at the Oregon Youth Soccer, I was at the federation, and that's when I saw that, like, I wish the State Association or the Federation had unified the leagues when soccer grew in North America. That was after the World Cup in the 90s. Now, after the World Cups in the 90s, the MLS started, and they put a lot of attention into the MLS, but I think up to a point we didn't put the same attention and love to youth. Because if we have created a strong youth system back in the 90s, right now I think we'll be a lot better.
I was here in 94 when the World Cup happened, and I used to tell my friends in Brazil, by the year 2000, we would be world champions, and it's one of those things that is because we saw everything and how successful the World Cup was, and in this country we can just do anything.
Absolutely.
Right? So I normally some people tell me, "Oh, Fabio, you have soccer would never go in the U.S." I was like, we have the best athletes in every other sport.
Yeah.
The day that we decide that we want to do soccer, we're going to do soccer.
Exactly.
And then the best fitness, the best athletes, the African Americans, when they start playing soccer, really, it's the best athletes in the world in every other sport.
But we come from countries that you don't really need to be the best athlete to be really playing soccer, because I'm an Iniesta fan, and you see Iniesta in the street, you never think he's a top performance athlete.
But then can you imagine LeBron James playing soccer?
I know.
It's going to be a monster. It's one of those things. But there's a lot of things that we still need to work on, and I think the World Cup next year is going to be a big deal. MLS is doing a fantastic job. Messi here gives a lot of credibility to the league.
He plays for the wrong team, but he does help. He does help to the league. Yeah.
Do you really want to get it?
Listen, we like our players. We don't need Messi.
Yeah, we wish Messi was in New York, right? So it wasn't too much, or maybe here. But I was here when Kaká was here, and it was fun to be an Orlando City fan during those times too. It was fun. So I was at the tournament this weekend in Tampa, and our NONA players played against Inter Miami with. Messi's kids were playing.
The middle son,
Yeah, so I saw the commotion of the kids towards Antonella and Jose. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So there's no way soccer can go wrong in this country. The only people that can make this messed up, it's us.
Yeah.
So let's start working, not me and you, of course, but like us, coaches, directors, and leagues and stuff. If we start getting together and say, okay, what can we do the best? Yes, competition on the field, necessary.
Absolutely.
But everything else, let's start doing it because it's the wife of Messi. It's not that if Messi was there, we wouldn't have control.
Yeah.
It would be impossible. Right, so those things that
we had a game against Messi's oldest son, in 2012, with 8,000 people.
I was like, my wife was there. My wife was there
That
taking
like-
pictures.
That would be even unimaginable because I'm from Spain and you would never have a U12 game in Spain with 8,000 people. And we
Yeah.
had it here in the United States. So it's promising. There is signs that soccer is growing here, but we still have a long way to go and we have a lot to do.
So I have a funny story about that game.
Okay.
I have a camera that I say when I get old, I'm going to buy a camera, and all I'm going to do is take pictures.
Okay.
And that day has come. I am that guy now.
Yeah, okay.
So I have this beautiful camera. So when you guys went to play Inter Miami for that game, Javi's like, hey, Fabio, can you help me take some pictures? I say, Javi, I'm going to be with my older son somewhere else, but my wife is going to be there with Luan because he played the next day. And it's like, can she take pictures? And then I say, sure, why not? so I told Chris, I said, Chris, you have to go to the game tomorrow. He's like, why? Luan doesn't play until the next day. He's like, yeah, because you're going to be Orlando City's photographer. She's like, what are you talking about? So she goes on the field and she takes pictures of Messi from the 5. Like, I have some cool pictures. Yeah. We provided the pictures back to you guys, but that was a funny story because my wife does not like the spotlight. She does not like those things, and I love when she has no choice. Just go and do it because I can make fun of her forever. So that's a fun story. But that game was beautiful. Like,
great game, yeah.
It was a nice experience for the kids. There's a picture that she took that Messi standing with the microphone, and every single kid from Orlando City is just looking at him like mesmerized.
Yeah,
and that's you can't buy that. You can't.
No, you can buy moments, and that moment's gonna stay in our players' mind forever, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
It was beautiful. So Jose, tell us about your job. What is what the heck does Academy Scout do? Why do you guys make so many mistakes?
Every single one. No, honestly, we do. I don't want to say in the camera, but we do, honestly. I think you have to be honest with yourself and try to be better every day, but you do make mistakes. My job is obviously to scout players that can potentially make it to Orlando City Academy. I manage or I supervise all the teams in Orlando City, which right now we have 6 from U18 to U12, but we have 2 U12 teams. So I scout players from 2007, seniors in high school U18s, to 2011, which is going to be 2015, which are U11s next year with us. So it's 8 age groups that I have to kind of like oversee and scout. And I would normally watch players from Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, and from U14 and older all over the United States. So as you can imagine, it's a lot of players to watch. It's a lot of videos. So you obviously miss some, and you obviously pick sometimes the one that it shouldn't be. So
yeah. When I say you guys make mistakes, is because all of the parents think like my son should be there.
I get 20 texts a day. Hey, why are you not looking at my kid? My kid is the next Messi. Like I know, you're the 20. You're the 20 next Messi that I have today.
But I'm very very realistic. I've been in Orlando 27 years. I played in every level here. Of course, we didn't have Orlando City back then, but I played high school. I played at UCF. Then I went back and coached high school, and then we opened NONA. So I've been in relatively in soccer. And I mess around the scouts. I tell parents all the time, scouts makes mistake every day. But honestly, though, and I don't see a lot of mistakes there with you guys. There's opinions. Yeah. It's different. But we're going to talk about player profile. We're going to talk about this. But there's not a lot of mistakes. Like you said, you and I both working in soccer. If we have Edgar here, and Edgar is the next Messi, you're not going to miss him, and I'm not going to miss him.
Correct.
Right? So then when you remove Messi from the conversation, everybody else is based on profile, is based on style of play, is based on understanding of the game, and a lot of it. What are those things that you guys look for? Before we talk about profile, because I think that's 3 hours, I hope you have time.
I have plenty of time.
But what do you guys look for? Like when, let's say, for example, you're building a brand new team. You're looking for a U13 brand new team. How do you go by every step of the process, if you don't mind sharing?
No, of course not. It might be a little longer, but I will try to make it as fast as possible. So everything starts always with the academy methodology, and academy style of play. Orlando City likes to develop players for Orlando City. And I say this because, I'm from Spain. You have 2 academies in Spain, Barça and Real Madrid. Barça is really good at developing players for Barça. You see a lot of Barça academy players in the first team. Real Madrid, not necessarily. Real Madrid doesn't develop players for Real Madrid. They just develop talent. they sell, and Real Madrid players are all over the world playing soccer at a very high level. So you always have these two types of academy. We are an academy that likes to develop players for us. So that means that now the style of play and the profile comes into play. I'm not just going to take talent, again, the next Messi, the next Lamine Yamal, I take it regardless of the profile, but everybody else have to fit our style of play and our methodology. Now, ideally, to produce players for yourself, you need to replicate as much as possible the first team. So players know how we play the first team and kind of like get used to the automatism of how we play out of the back, how we press, how we win the ball back when we lose it. So you look at the first team, you're going to find similar profiles that you're going to see in the academy. So for example, right back, we like players like Alex Freeman, academy player that is now in the first team. So Alex Freeman is a fullback that honestly is a wing back. He goes. So when we attack, he turns into a right wing. So now your right wing needs to leave space for that player. So if you have Alex Freeman coming all the way, do you want a right wing that stays out wide? Probably no. You want a Facundo Torres or now Marco Pasalic that is pretty much a 10 that comes into what we say the pocket, and becomes kind of like a second 10 with Martino Ojeda. So now it gives you two positions that one is the type of right back we want, and that involves the type of winger that we want. Now, we build with a back three. So the right back goes, which in the academy doesn't matter if it's the right back or the left back, but the right back goes, which means the left back stay. So now you need a left back that can turn temporarily into a defender, and it can help you in a transition to be a fast players that run behind for that ball that a winger can potentially be, because you have three players, and normally the other team would probably leave 2 to 3 attackers. So you need these three guys to be able to mark the 2 attacking or 3 attacking players for the other team, both in the air and on the ground. So that gives you a left back type of profile for the academy. Now we play out of the back, and we like to attract the team to come and press us so they leave space behind. So players like Freeman, and on the other wing, Ivan Angulo, very fast winger, but that is a winger that stays out wide.
That drives me nuts with Luan, though. When you guys ask, it's like, Luan, pass the ball.
Exactly.
He's like, no, they tell me to hold
Exactly.
it.
That's what we want. That's what we want you to do. So we want a goalie that is comfortable with his feet, Pedro Gallese, Luan, in the academy. We want center backs that are comfortable with the ball. We want them to attract us, so they left space behind for the right back that is already there, and the left wing that will stay out wide can utilize that space and be more kind of like a counter-attack. So think a little bit like Real Madrid. Now you want players like Sergio Ramos, Rudiger as a center back that are comfortable in the ball, goalkeepers that are comfortable in the ball, fullbacks, Marcelo, Carvajal, players that they can go, wingers, Vinicius, Rodrigo. We want players that are good in 1v1. So based on those profiles, now you start looking at players. Now you're very, 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 very special. We will add you. We don't have the luxury in this country yet that you can say no to a top-level prospect. But if you're a good player, MLS Academy level player, but you don't fit my system, I will find one that does. Because at that level, if you do a good job, you should be able to find someone that fits Orlando City. And I believe for the collective to do well, you have to work on the individual, but at the same time, having a collective that play well together and they all fit with each other, that will also help the individual. So the individual helps the collective, but the collective at the same time helps the individual. If I don't fit in a company as a worker, it doesn't have to be a player. If you as a professional, you work in any type of company, marketing, you don't like the company culture, you don't like the people that works with you, your team, your boss, you're not going to perform well. And that happens with the player too. You're in a system that doesn't fit you, you're not going to perform well. And in the academy, you don't really have the luxury to not perform well consistently. You can have a bad game like everybody else, of course, but you have a full season of consistently not performing, we will find someone who does. So to avoid that mistake, ideally you will find someone that you know he will perform because he fits, and because obviously he's good enough.
You know that historically, we didn't see that. And I don't know if it was the previous leadership of the academy or if it was just the landscape of players we've had, but it wasn't consistent. Mm-hmm. And now it's impressive how you look the right back, for example. Mm-hmm. I've been watching the U13, 14s, 15s, 16s. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen the 19s play in a long time, but that speaks for itself, right? Mm-hmm. You guys are undefeated. For a year. So, and now we're starting to see that, and that's why I like what you guys are doing, and I respect a lot, because not every club in the country are playing the same style. Some people like this style, or some people, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I don't like the Barcelona style. I'm not that coach. I love the Real Madrid style. So we have to agree to disagree on some things. But one thing is consistent, and I hats off to you guys, is that from 19 all the way down, you guys have the same style of players. And I normally teach parents because they're like, oh, why do you have 5 players going to the academy and not my son? It's one of those kids' game. I always say that, like little kids, they grab the square peg, and they have to find the square hole.
Yeah.
The square peg is not going to go on the triangle hole or the circle hole. The way I tell them, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, but a player that is grade B minus, that is a triangle to a triangle hole, it's better than a player that is an A plus, that is a circle going into a triangle hole.
An A plus, I'd say.
An A plus is, you're right. An A plus is, but
a B plus,
a B minus and a B plus,
correct.
It's better.
Yeah.
So, please elaborate.
The luxury that we have is there is 320 million people in this country and 26 MLS academies. So I do have a big pool to recruit players, which I have that luxury, but players don't have that many MLS academies to go to. So an A plus is what I was saying before. I don't have the luxury to say no to an A plus. But then when you go to the A minus category, because I'm not going to I should sign a B plus or B minus, or have it's not going to keep me for too long. But I'm on the A minus, then that's where I need to pick the guy who fits me better. A pluses, they're always going to sign. They're special. They're national team players. They're top. The A minus is when you get to pick. So even then, a B plus will perform better than an A minus that doesn't fit me. Now, my job is to be able to find an A minus that does fit me. And right now, I have the luxury, and the club is investing more and more in the academy, so we have home stay, so we can go out of state. So if Florida should give you most of the players in the academy, it's a 22 million population country for 2 MLS academies. So you should be able to find most of those players in Florida. But hypothetically, you don't find it or you haven't seen it yet, you can go out of state. So that's where we are right now. With the little ones, profile still doesn't come into account that much because they're young. You can still play them in different positions. They haven't hit puberty, so you don't know really where they're going to end up physically and mentally. So you can still be okay just recruiting the best talents. But once you get to the U14, U15 level, that for the academy is full-time players. They come in the morning, they stay the whole day. Been there. Now is when it comes to account, like, okay, who did I not, what position or what profile was I not able to find in Florida? The left wing. Okay, let's go outside. 2010, we have Tej that came from Arizona. And he's that Ivan Angulo in the left wing. He's that vertical 1v1 player that goes down the line. We didn't find it as a 2010 in Florida. We went out of state and we signed a great player there. So that will happen more and more because, again, we still want to be, Florida is still our base, and we're going to sign most of the players from Florida. But when you don't find that player that you look for, or that player is that special talent, you just go outside and find them.
So then, going back to the original question, you have you have the methodology, you have to play a profile, and you have to find the A minus minimum.
Minimum, yes.
Because you're right, 22 million people is the size of most countries in the world, right? So
Spain has 44, and we have probably 120 professional teams.
There you go.
At least.
So then you have that. Then you found it.
Mm-hmm.
Then what is the conversations with the parents? What is how do you control the craziness that we see in the pay-to-play model? I've been there, but I want you to explain, like the orientation, which they did a fantastic job this year after we signed the players, and then we went through there with what the expectations are. And I'm impressed, again, with how my kid, it's developing as a human being, not just as a soccer player. So then what? What's the next step?
Yeah, that would be that orientation. Like we're doing right now a little bit is parent education. It's telling them, listen, this is the league that we play. This is the pathway for your kid, hopefully in 3 to 5 years. This is where potentially he might go to school if you're a formation player. This is if you need a home stay. This is how our home stay program works. So there's a lot of education in the next steps, especially the things that are really important for the family. School and home stay if you come from out of state. But either way, the important part what they want to know is leagues, teammates, coaches, style of play. So the more you can help the player, the better. Similar to the first team. When you sign a first team, let's say from Brazil, No, the guy comes here to America, doesn't speak the language. His kid doesn't have a school. His wife doesn't have a job. It's a lot of pressure on the head of the kid or the player, and he's someone that might be making $500,000 to $1 million to perform well. Because I don't have a school for my kids, or I don't have a house to stay, or my wife is bored at home. It's a lot of things that can mentally affect you that it doesn't help you perform. The academy happens the same thing. You're coming into a new environment. You don't know the teammates. You don't know the coaches. You don't know the style of play. You don't know the new school programs that we have, in the academy. You don't know where you're going to stay if you come from out of state. So the more I can help you understand all of that, the better you're going to do. Because you're going to come August 1st to the first day of preseason knowing this is what I play, this is how they see me, these are my teammates, this is my coach, this is my pathway. I should be next year here, in 2 years here. I should be able to fight for the second team 5 years. And then, okay, now I'm ready to put the time, I'm ready to put the work to get there. I have a plan, let's go for it.
Very nice. So I hope the parents understand that it's becoming more and more set play, like you guys design it, and all the 26 MLS academies, they have their own style.
Correct.
So sometimes you go in and you're going to have the Orlando City style, then you go to Columbus. Columbus Crew has a different style, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't mean that round peg, it's not going to find a job.
Absolutely.
There's potentially that will find a job. It's important for the parents to understand that.
Yeah.
Now, help me, Jose. How do I manage the other 99% of the kids? Because if you're in my shoes, I understand that after the way I tell people is that because this is so new here in America, and you have kids dominating at their level that they're playing, it doesn't matter what level it is. So if you have a kid that is playing on my recreational program, and that kid scores 20 goals a game, that parent is starting to plan his whole career.
Yeah.
Right? So it's relax. It's rec, it's competitive, it's level 2 of competitive, level 1 of competitive. Now with MLS Next, we're going to have the academy level. And then, so dominate every level before you get there. If you're in my shoes, how would you manage that? Let's say, congratulations, you have my chair. Help me.
I quit. I don't want it. It's too much.
He just quit
I just quit on
there. He just quit on camera to take my job.
You're doing great. I don't need it. I already have enough headaches. Now, I will explain, again, Hispanic education. Unfortunately, this country is not as heavy in soccer culture as Brazil or Spain can be. So at the end of the day, we need to understand that the parents may not know. The way I always explain is you have to go step by step. You can go from playing in England's 5th division, Panorama National League North, to the Premier League. It doesn't happen that way. And I use the example of Haaland. No, Haaland was doing very, very well in Norway. But he didn't go Norway to the Premier League. He scored 7 goals at the U17 or U19 level, and he already had looks from everybody, but you still didn't go to the Premier League. It's a big of a jump. He went to Austria, to a partner of Red Bulls in Salzburg. He did great. Then the next step, he went to Germany. He went to Dortmund, and he did great. And now, obviously, ready to go to Man City. But now you have experience in a top-level league in Europe, like Austria, then in the Champions League, and a top-level league, Bundesliga and Champions League. So now you're ready for Man City. So because he followed those steps, he was able to kind of like grow and do well because the steps were little. Now look at, for example, Vitor Roque, Brazilian, on loan at Betis, went to Barca, went too soon. He's back in Brazil because he made a massive jump that he wasn't able to do it. Now,
you were talking about Anthony.
Anthony, for example, but I think Anthony is more like a profile and the club situation. I think Man United right now is in a situation as a club that nobody performs well. Rashford left and he's doing great. Anthony left and came to Betis, is doing great. How many players have left Man United and performed? Plenty. So that tells you that it's a little bit of something going on in the club. But with Vitor Roque, for example, even Endrick, if he does not start playing for Real Madrid now, there might be players that made the jump too soon, and that didn't work out. So you're doing great at rec, congratulations. Next steps, which one it is? Competitive. Great, you're doing great at competitive. What's the next step? Don't try to rush the process, because maybe for rushing the process, you may fall through the cracks in the middle because you're making too big of a jump. And the next thing, sometimes people have to understand that you might have reached your level. Just because you're the best player in Spain's second division doesn't mean that you're ready for first. you're a very good second division player, and that has happened a lot with players, like dominate the second division, and then they get opportunity in the first, and they're just not ready for the jump. And then maybe a player that is top 50 in second division goes to the first division and continues to evolve because exposed to that level helps him. But you may have reached your potential. So it's a little bit of both, but the most important part for me is always follow the steps and find a club that cares about you and explain you that steps. And same thing that we do. Listen, we see you now here, recreational, but you're doing very well, so we're going to move you here. And if you do well, this is where you should be a year, 6 months, or 2 years from now. Now it's up to you to perform well and to do well and to earn to get there, but this is the plan. Now you're trying to jump stage, it's not going to work. It's like a school. You go to 5th grade and 6th grade and 8th grade. You're a genius, you may get bumped up and skip a year. But for the most of us, we go grade by grade. And that's okay. And that's not a problem. And it's just parents need to understand that.
Yeah, that's a hard job. And
it's a hard job. That's why I say I quit. I don't want it.
Yeah,
Yours.
They said I don't do it anymore.
No, good.
I brought some futures in.
Yeah, you do broadcasting now is a lot.
Yeah, this is my hobby now. And but it's important to know that how those profile works and what you guys looking for. And I heard somebody talking that it's easier for you to win the lotto than for your son to become a professional soccer player.
Correct.
Like that's the odds,
yeah.
Right? So, and then you can be dominating, even at the academy level. You're gonna be you dominate a rec, and then you took the right step, and you came in and you dominated the gray level, and then the orange, black academy, Orlando City Academy, and you dominate for the whole career.
Yeah.
So you get to the U18, Hendrick comes in.
Mm-hmm. Take your spot.
Take your spot, and nothing happened.
I can't remember who it was, but I'm sure Inter Miami has a right win before Messi, and Messi came, and sorry, you're in the bench now.
Yeah.
Or Leandro Campana, who was a striker for Inter Miami, they signed Suarez. Well, Campana is now in New England.
Yeah,
it happens. You're competing with everybody. You're competing, and I told my guys, like, you're not only competing to be the best player in your generation. I don't need 15 strikers in the first team. So you're the best striker at 2011, but I have a better striker than you at 2012. He might make it and you don't. And you might be dominating at 2011 and scoring 15 goals, but he's scoring 30. So maybe he takes your spot, but maybe it's someone from Brazil now take his. You're competing with everybody.
That kid, the 2012,
it's not bad.
Solid.
From Vegas. So
solid.
That's what we're doing now. We signed a 2012 players from Las Vegas. So parents need to understand that we're going earlier, that we start now at U11, and at U13, we already signed a player from pretty much across the entire country.
Yeah. So, I was watching a podcast with Alex. Remember Alex from Brazil, number 10? Everybody says that he's probably one of the most unjustest player because he never play a World Cup.
Yeah.
And he did not play a World Cup because it was Rivaldo, Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
And then the next World Cup was Kaká, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
But then he said that he still thinks he should have gone to the 2002 World Cup because it was a big thing with Emerson. I don't remember. Emerson broke his shoulder, and then the coach brought Ricardinho from Corinthians, which is my team.
Yeah.
And then people say, "Oh, but the best player was Alex." Nobody complains about that. Everybody knows that Alex was the best player, but Ricardinho played 3 or 4 positions. Ricardinho was more of, because the odds of Ronaldinho and Rivaldo get hurt.
Very little.
They don't get cards.
Yeah.
So now he brought a left 6 that could play as a 10, that could play as a left back, that could play as a winger.
Yeah.
So that player, for that specific, that Scolari had it, it was there. So that's one of the things that people say, but without understanding the game of soccer and the decisions that the coach had to make.
Exactly. That player is the player 22 in the roster, out of 22. So you're signing a 22 player of 22. I take a player that can help me in 3 positions just in case something happened over a third option as a number 10 when I already have 2 world-class number 10.
And but Alex, I love the way he's a coach now, and he's a top-level coach. And and they asked him, he's like, people get in the comfort zone. I always knew I was going to be a professional soccer player, Alex said. And Alex said that on his street, he knew that. I started as the youngest. I became the best player on my street. Then they made a team in the community. like Lake Nona, for example. Then I became the best player in Lake Nona. Then I went to Paraná, Curitiba at the time. And it's like, oh my God, where are these kids coming from? It's crazy how good they are. And every single one is better than every single one in my community back at home.
Yeah.
And then he became the best player of that. And he's like, all right, now I'm going to go to the professional team. So after the academy, he went to the professional team. It's like, holy moly.
Yep.
The levels just, it seems like, people say like, oh, next year he's going to be a pro. Next year it's a long road until you make it there.
Yeah.
So long story short, he kept saying, it's like, okay, I'm the best player in my state. Nobody complains. Palmeiras came and bought him. Then he goes to Palmeiras. It was Rivaldo, Djalminha. It was
good luck. Yeah.
He's like, where do these people come from? So he's fighting for his position. He's become one of the starters. And then he goes to the national team. He's like, I quit.
Yeah.
Because at the national team, it's now Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the best podcasts I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because he understands the steps, like you said.
Absolutely.
And how much the level changes every time you take a step. You take a step and it's like...
Yeah.
And can you imagine for Anthony? Anthony was a kid that came from the projects in Brazil.
Yeah.
Then he goes in and he does a good
Job
national championship at São Paulo. Next thing you know, you're at the Old Trafford. I was at his first game there. For some luck reason, I was watching the game live. And when he stepped on the field, it was 90,000 people just going nuts. And he scored a goal against Arsenal, that first game.
It's 90,000 people that know that they pay 100 million for you.
Yes,
so good luck with that
100
pressure.
Million, exactly. So then from that point, it was like...
Yeah.
Then you start coming down because of the problems of the club, because of the weather, because of this, because of that, whatever the case may be. And now people just don't care. It's like, oh, you pay 100 million, you have to perform.
Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way.
Doesn't.
It's like a CEO for Google. You pay him a lot of money, but he might not do well because a lot of multiple reasons, not just that he's not good. And that happens in soccer.
So without mentioning names, Jose, and you've been in soccer for a long time now, and your international experience. Without mentioning any names, tell us a story about one of those players that you said, this guy, done deal. I'm not going to make a mistake on this kid. I have a couple myself, of course, in a much lower level. And then when he went to the next level, he just couldn't do it. And then another one that a player that was like, I don't know about him. And then when he goes to the next level, he explodes. Just tell me stories. You don't have to mention names, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to mention name, but people will probably be able to figure it out if you kind of do some research. Like one that he's outperforming my expectations. He's a player that I took from Tampa to one of the Capelli teams in Germany, and he was very young. He was 18. He turned around full right from Michigan to follow his dream to go pro, went to third division in Germany, and now he's in second 2 years later. And he outperformed. I thought he was going to be fine. That's why I recommended him, but I thought he was going to be a roster player. Maybe he's a young player, 18. The coach may give him 10, 15 minutes there, and then starts every game. After one season, he gets signed to go to second division, and he starts every game now in second division. So he's one of those guys that like, I believe in you, but you're still outperforming the way I want it. And then players who are not doing as good, I have them in the academy right now. Right? The reality is we signed 55 players last year, and not all of them work out. And a good scout makes less mistakes than you get more of them right than wrong. That's my goal. That if we sign 55, ideally to have 50, 51 that are doing well and 3, 4 that are wrong. Because you have to understand you're human. Like everybody else. Coaches make mistakes, players make mistakes, DOCs, directors, sporting directors, they make mistakes, scouts make mistakes too. So that's what I said at the beginning of this podcast, like we do make mistakes. And it would be fool to think that you don't. It would be very arrogant to think that you don't. It's trying to have a good process in the scouting of watch a player multiple times, watch a player in multiple environments, have more than one person looking at the guy to try to minimize mistake, understanding that there is always going to be errors. But the more time you put into it and the better system you have, hopefully you minimize those errors. And I think it's important to try to minimize the error, understanding that they will happen just because you're playing with people's life. There are people who believe in, I'm going to play for Orlando City. There are people who move out of state to play for Orlando City or for any other MLS academy, you need to do your best to make sure you get it right, understanding that you will get wrong some of them. But that's the pressure that we live with, no? That's the pressure that we have. I come every day into practice, and I hope all those guys that I have signed or no, they do perform well, because they're kids and you see them every day and you care about them and you want all of them to play, but you have 20 players in the roster and only 11 play. So you already feel bad, but understanding that mistakes will be made, but if you do a good job, the mistakes will be minimal.
And the person, Jose, right? Let's not talk about the scout or the cold-hearted coach. That how people, I've heard that. Apparently, I'm a cold-hearted coach as well. But it is what it is. We have to deal with this what people call us without understanding what we do. But what's the hardest part for you, Jose? It's because you mentioned something like you want them to do well.
Yeah.
You brought them from Vegas, you brought them from Arizona, you brought them from Kissimmee, whatever. Then you bring them, you put them in the environment, and then it just doesn't work. To me, it would be devastating. Yeah. I'll make sure Edgar plays.
Yeah, I can. I'm not a coach, so I can.
So what's the hardest part for you? Like when it comes to the person, Jose, not the business, because the business is the business.
Absolutely.
There's nothing people can say, but that's something that's going on for centuries.
The hardest part of my job, and that's the personal part, and that affects me, and it does affect me, is how many times a day I need to tell players you're not good enough, and you cannot break their heart.
So you took it deep there. Hold on,
no, it's true. It hurts. It doesn't look like, because it looks like I'm only saying no to one player, but I have told 20 in that day you're not good enough, and after 20 it takes a toll, because they're good. We have talked before the podcast about some players that we know they're good. They are good, but they either don't fit me, or I have someone better. I have a Rivaldo and you Ricardinho. I have someone better than you. You're good. I just have one better, and I don't have a space for everybody. Or you don't fit me, or you're just not good enough. But either way, every day, I have to say you're not good enough to a lot of kids. So that hurts, because I've been there. I've been that kid that wanted to make it to the academy, and it's not a good feeling when they say you're not good enough.
That's my favorite shot, by the way. That's the cut. I want that cut. I'm gonna put Jose's gonna go viral with that, because I feel you that you really feel that to say that to a player, and it's hard for me. It's pay to play. They decide to pay for me, to pay me to play for my club, and then in May, I have 24 hours to make that decision, who's good and who's not. And we're going to make mistakes, like you said. Very little mistakes, because the difference between the first team and the second team for us, it's you can tell the difference. But we will make mistakes. Sometimes we'll bring somebody from outside, and that player just don't perform. So it's hard for us. Imagine for you guys that I'm dealing with a client. You're dealing with, like you say, you're changing their lives and stuff.
I deal with a worker, and that's the big difference between pay to play and the academy. It's always, again, I come from that business background that I explained before, so always explaining it's customers versus clients different. In pay to play, you are a consumer. You're paying to play there. So you treat it a little bit different than in Orlando City, because in Orlando City, we pay for everything. So when you pay for everything, now you work for me. So your expectations are a little higher. And I used to do that, and I used to say the same thing when I was a college coach. You're going from a different environment. You're going from an environment where you pay, and you may get away from a few things that you may be able to do, to now pay you in terms of a scholarship. So now when I'm paying you, now it means you work for me. So the relationship the relationship is different depending on where the money goes to. In this case, it goes from the player to the club. In college or in the academies, go from the club to the players. So that changes the dynamic a lot, and that's why the expectations when they come to the academy are very high, because we invest in. Now we're talking about how many trips we do. Who pays for that? We pay for that. We pay for your cleats. We pay for your jersey. We pay for absolutely everything. We pay for your school. So we investing in you. So we're gonna ask something in return. So I think it's important for people to understand that transition sometimes is not easy either, because things that you get away before, you're not gonna get away now. So it's part of that onboarding, but it's part of that process of telling players hey, you're moving to a different environment with higher expectations, whether it's, from NONA to the academy or from the second team to the first team. Things that you can get away here, you're not going to be able to get away here. And as you said before, you're going to make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes, and just trying to have a good process to avoid making as many as those.
Yeah, but then I normally ask I ask those questions. One time I was talking to one of the parents. It was an academy game. Luan was playing, and I don't know, maybe it was Rush.
Yeah.
Maybe Rush. You guys were playing against Rush, and Luan is playing, and one of the parents is telling me, like, that player, Brazilian guy.
Yeah.
And I said, so, okay, what is the mistake? I asked him. And at one point, my wife was like, the view is right here. Stop talking. Because I was defending you guys.
Yeah.
And I said, what was the mistake? Oh, that player's better than that. Says who?
No, to me,
It could be.
it could be.
But then Orlando City just beat Rush 4-0, I think, whatever it doesn't matter the score. But Orlando City beat Rush. That player from that he was comparing played a fantastic game. That player, he played a good game.
Yeah.
So where's the mistake?
Yeah.
They won. The kid is playing well. So you're telling me that if Messi plays, no other number 10 can play in any other club.
Yeah.
Because it's comparable. And then at this level, it's like, where's the mistake? And then the guys look at me like I had two heads.
Yeah.
He looked at me like, are you an alien? I was like, no, it's just, where's the mistake?
Yeah.
Oh, now your opinion, that's a different story. Then you go, you get your license.
Yeah.
Or you open your own club.
Correct.
Make
Absolutely. And I tell everybody, listen, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Every time a Spain national team comes out, I'm like, why is this guy here and not that guy? I do it myself.
We all do. There was a song in Brazil, and I mentioned that for the World Cup, it's like in the bleachers, there's a ton of coaches.
Yeah.
And everybody has already called his own team.
Yeah. Correct.
They talk about Tite, right? In my opinion, Tite is the greatest coach Brazil ever had.
Okay.
Because he won the World Cup, the World Championship for Corinthians and the Copa Libertadores. So I love the guy. They were complaining about him in the two World Cups he lost. But nobody could tell me one player that they wouldn't call that he called. The guy was with the national team for 6 years, and he lost 4 or 5 games. 6 years. He destroyed South America. And then against Belgium, Marcelo took a corner and didn't step back. Lukaku's a monster.
Yep.
There was a couple things. The other one, the ball hit Fernandinho, one of the best sixes in the history of this game. Fernandinho scored an own goal. What can the coach do?
Yeah.
Look, it gives me goosebumps.
In this situation,
In this situation. And then the next World Cup, we're winning 1-0 with a fantastic game from Croatia's midfield. I've never seen those old guys playing that good. It was unbelievable, those 4 guys. Neymar scored a magician goal, which he should. He is that A++ player.
Yeah.
And then Fred steps in the last minute of the game, steps in for a... What is the coach has to do with that? It's just the beauty of this stupid game that we love so much.
One game, anything can happen.
But
I only see a few teams or national teams dominate. One of them, Spain 2010 World Cup, we dominate.
Yeah.
Brazil,
when you
have Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Kaká, Adriano, that was unstoppable. So there is only a few teams that dominate. So you need to understand in one game anything can happen. So when you need to have, for us, I have my hat when I'm a fan. I'm a Betis fan, I'm a Spain national team fan, and my hat when I'm working. When I'm working, I try to make the best decision. When I'm a fan, I enjoy being a fan, and I enjoy criticizing the national team.
Man. I'm losing the
keep
fan
it, keep it. Sometimes you have to have it.
Yeah,
because
I'm having a hard time with that because the game is the game. You can't. I'm so analytical about like I'm like you. I'm a soccer guy, but I study business, and I like the business part better than the field. That's why I'm not a coach anymore. But I can't. If I'm analytical and I'm going to say that there, at the end of the day, it's a game.
Yeah.
And in the game, anything can happen. I can't analyze Corinthians the same way. I still watch it. I
Exactly.
still cry. I still get pissed off.
And that's what I do when I watch a game and I'm evaluating a player. I'm watching the game, but when I'm watching Betis or Spain national team, I just enjoy it. I'm just relaxing, and so I want that hat. I want that fan hat, and that fan hat comes with some luxury, which is being able to tell the Spain national team coach, like, "Hey, what are you doing? I know more than you." Which is absolutely nowhere near true. But like, why are you taking a 16-year-old kid to the Euros? Well, best player in the team, and we won the Euros. But you know how many people criticize our national team coach for taking Lamine Yamal to the last Euros at 16?
I remember when Spain won the World Cup in 2010. In 2012, 13, Brazil murdered Spain in Brazil for the Confederations Cup.
Yeah.
The Spanish people were saying, the world is over. These players are old.
Tiki-taka is dead.
Tiki-taka is dead. Brazil killed tiki-taka, blah, 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 blah. In Brazil, we said, that's it.
We're the best in the world.
We'll never lose a game. We're going to be the best for the...
Yeah.
And then Brazil lost the World Cup, and another team won. And it's like, just like this.
Yeah.
We lost at home to Germany, 7-1.
Yeah.
That was the most dominating, sad game I've ever watched. And Brazil, 13 months before that game, we killed Spain in Brazil.
Yeah.
How can you explain that? And we lost to a team of Germany, good team,
not
but
the best
very
Germany.
Robotic. Yeah. That final should be Brazil-Spain.
Yep.
And the final was Argentina and Germany. Argentina wasn't a good team.
We lost in group stage.
There you go.
We got out in group stage. We went from winning Euros, World Cup, Euros to get out in group stage.
The beauty of this game.
The game.
The beauty of this game.
Again,
it's,
you try
it's
to
like
do your
one
best.
of those bad girlfriends, right?
Yeah.
That we keep going back to her. It's like, the soccer is like, I don't want to watch you anymore tomorrow. What's the game?
It's the beauty of any sport. It's unpredictable.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, you never know what's going to happen. And that's the two things I like about the sport. One is you have to watch it live. And that's something that nowadays with the highlights and things, we're losing concentration. But to me, I don't want to watch Betis play on Sunday. I don't want to watch the game on Monday. I already know the score. It's pointless. I want to watch it on Sunday and I want to watch it live. It's important to me to watch it live, so I'm paying attention. And it's important to me that it's unpredictable. We beat Real Madrid and then we lost to, Getafe. And I love that. And that's the beauty of the game, and it happens at every level, and I like it.
So we talked about the hardest thing, but what is the best from your job now? You say, shoot, I got this. This is something that I knew it was going to work, and I had some of those. Last week I had some of those. I said, yes, when we got the MLS Next new tier competition. And I was so happy because I've been working so hard of it. So what is, for you, one of those things that in your job, the person, Jose, not talk about your job, is the person. What is one of those things that you say, this was awesome, this makes you feel good inside?
The other way around, when you literally change someone's life. Like with the little ones, I haven't seen it yet because I've only been here for a year and 3 months. But with the U18 team that now is dominating, I signed some players for that team that, thanks to playing for Orlando City, helped them to either get to the second team or to a better college program that they would have gotten if they didn't come. So that's the beauty of the thing. Like, you're literally changing people's life. Not that many, because we only have 110 players in the academy, but those players, you have a direct impact on them by taking them into this environment and obviously giving them to our coaches and staff to continue to develop them and make them the best player possible. But you are changing people's life, and that's what keeps me going. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. I tell 1,000 people you're not good enough for every one that I change their life. But you need to flourish those ones, because the other 1,000 takes a toll on a daily basis. So I take my guys who are doing well and succeeding and holding to them like, hey, I help this guy make it from this level to this level and hopefully that level. And that's what keeps me going.
So I was thinking the next thing I was going to tell you was the math, but you did it. For every 1,000 players, you'd say yes to one. Of course, it's not exact math, but it's...
No, but it's not exact math on the ones I say no to, but the reality is the pool of players that I have is 40,000. The reality, if I look at players for A age group from 2007 to 2015 all across the country that plays in a higher division, let's say MLS Next, ECNL, Elite 64, ODP, ID2. There's a bunch of programs as well there where we scout. If you look at that pool of players, at the end of the season, you're looking at 3,000 guys. I think in our database right now, we have around 3,000 players that they're good. That's not counting the one that we didn't even add because they were not good. I go to a game and I made like 3 guys and I add them to a database. The other 15 or 20, I don't even add them.
So it's let's not even go to those out of state tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at FYSA, Florida Youth Soccer Association, will probably have 50,000 kids registered to that, 60, 100,000, let's say. I don't know the number. I have no idea what the number is, but let's say it's 50,000. You have 120, and Inter Miami doesn't have that much, right? Because they don't have a. Maybe they do now because they have the little guys.
Yeah, and they take 40 players per roster, which I don't like. But yes, they do.
That's fine. So then you have 200 players down there and 150 players here. So out of 50,000, just at FYSA, I'm not talking about ECNL, I'm not talking MLS Next. No, out of 50,000 players, together you guys have 300.
Yep. And that's not counting ECNL, MLS Next, out of state. Yes.
Kids, go to school.
Go to school.
That's the most important thing you can do. That's the message that I have for you after I'm talking to Jose. That's all his fault. Go to school.
Sorry, I don't want to press all of you guys, but school is important. Even for the guys in the academy, the school is important. Even if you made it there, stay doing well in school.
It's insane. And Jose, you have we've been talking for an hour, and I know I want to be respectable of your time. If you could defend yourself, right? You don't have to, of course. It's your job. But what message do you want to send the parents that are still dreaming, the little guys, for example, the 2015s that you're looking at this year, or 16 next year and 17 the year after? What message can you leave back? Can you say? Because I love talking to you. I just wish we've done this before. And to me, this is probably one of the best conversations we've had. And I'm not, again, I thought Javi was good. And then we talked to Mauricio, which was the national team scout. I talked to Oscar, which I thought it was pretty cool. Hugh from FKK, amazing conversations. But this is cool because I can see the genuinity of on your eyes and in your smile and the way you talk. I can tell you're not holding anything back. But looking back, can you say, what message can you leave the parents?
Now you say to the players, to the parents who were dreaming, I would say keep dreaming. We signed 7 players for our U18 team last year. So the numbers say that I will continue to sign players at U11s, U12, U13s, U15s, U18s. Some players made it to the academy at U11 and they get released at U14. Will you prefer that, or will you prefer to make it to the academy at U17 and stay all the way to the first team? So every player has a different path. Every player grows earlier, develops earlier, later. I would say my message to them is continue with your path. Whatever your path is, your path might only take you to high school, and that's fine. Your path might take you to college, to pro. Just continue with your path, because if we do our job, we're going to be watching the players. Now, we may not like you, but you may not be ready at U11, so U13s, but you might be at U16. And what it matters at the end is, do you make it to the first team or not? You've been to our facilities. We have the first team field, second team field, U18, and U16. And we move players from one field to another, and that's what I tell them. Until you make it to this field, you haven't done. You're not done. You're a U16 player in the academy. You're not ready. Are you making millions? You're not. So your pathway is different, and there are U15, U16, U17 players that may get released at the end of the season, and we may add new ones. So I understand the frustration of not making it up to the academy when you try and when you're this close, but the ones who end up making it to pro is the ones of whether you're in the academy or not, continue to work hard and develop every single day. Like we say, 1% better every single day. If you do that, whether you're in the academy or not, you will make it as far as you can do. And to be honest, I was a good, talented player, but my level was 6th, 7th division in Spain. That's it. And I realized that. And I look back, I'm like, I trained hard. I did my best. So did I make it as far as I wanted? No. But I made it as far as I could. And I can live with that. I can be now working in soccer and live with that. I made it as far as I could. I did my best. I trained hard every day. I did everything the coach told me. Obviously, we all make mistakes as players too, but I did my best. So once you are my age, I would like every single player to look back and be like, I did what I could, honestly. Because there are players at the end like, oh, I didn't make it this year, so why even bother? No. You need to keep trying, because even if you're in the academy, you need to keep working hard. Well, I said before, I don't need 15 center backs in the first team. You're competing with everybody within the academy and outside, so you can never give up. You can never stop training at 110%. You can never stop listening to your coaches if you want to make it that level, whether you're in the academy or not. So keep dreaming. If you do the steps that you need to be doing, that you need to do, you will get where you get. Some players will become Messi, some players will become national team players, some players will become pro, some players will go to college. But make it as far as you can, and don't look back and be like, I could have done more. Because there will be nothing that I hate the most than look back and be like, I should have done better. One day they fire me at Orlando City because I'm not doing well. I will never look back and be like, I should have worked more. I'll work a lot.
And then you can send me your resume.
I already quit. Oh, no. So, but no, that's the reality. No, you need to do your best, whether you're a soccer player or a scout or you direct a club. Whatever you do in life, do your best, and you will get as far as you can.
Yeah, and this is a perfect message, and I just say it differently. Like when people would just mention playing around with my job today, and then your job, and then Javi's job, and then anybody that's working in soccer today. What I told these young guys when they come work with me, most of them played soccer. Yeah. Most of them play soccer in high school. That's working with us, or even in college. But I said, if you remove and you organize what soccer is today, playing is just a small percentage. Coaching is another small percentage, but you have fantastic people, like young leaders that are stepping up. That like Edgar here, that I want to thank later for putting such a nice podcast together for us. And a UCF broadcast student that's working in soccer. Yeah. And he's loving what he does, you know. So he's interviewing great people. He's meeting great people. Then I have a team in there that played in college. They got a master's degree in business or MBA or whatever. And now they run my club for me. Yeah. They're still working in soccer. They're making a difference in people's lives. So I think for the message I had for these kids is like when you look back, because right now it's a parent's dream. Yeah. The kids want to do it, of course. They have it. But at 12, 13-year-old, you think of being a professional soccer player, but you have no idea what it is.
Yeah, you want to be an astronaut the next day.
Yeah,
so,
of course. All of that pressure comes from the parents. So if we decide to do something that is that life-changing for people, at least enjoy the ride. I was talking to the kids that won the state championship here in Lake Nona last week, a couple weeks ago. I don't care. There's nobody at the academy today that's going to have that experience.
No, you can play high school. Yeah.
That experience, and I told my son, he was on that team, and I said, man, maybe that's what you needed before the next level, because socially, being the sense of belonging, there's nothing I can do at NONA. I'm not even going to talk about the academy. There's nothing that I can do at NONA that will duplicate the feeling that those kids had when they played the state championship with 3,000 people watching the game. Because playing for 20,000 at the Interco Stadium, it's a different, amazing experience, but it's not an amazing experience I'm not comparing their experiences, but this is something that's going to stay in their lives forever. So
we talked before about the Orlando City game with 8,000 people with the U12. You can buy experience.
You
can. And that's what sports is about. My team, I'd rather my team finish 15 in La Liga every year and win the cup every 5 than finish 4th every year. Because finish 4th, sure, you go to Champions League, but you're not celebrating much besides going to Champions League. But I finished 15, season was awful, but you win the cup every 3-5 years, and I had the chance to live a final and experience the final. I want that. I want that more than playing the Champions League or playing the Europa League. I want titles. Fans want titles. So because titles are great moments that you spend with your friends, with your family. So you can buy that. And that's the most important thing. So for everybody playing soccer right now, enjoy this experience. Whether you win a regional tournament, a national tournament, whether you go with the national team, regardless of your level, just enjoy the ride. Enjoy where you are, because honestly, I retired. My Achilles told me, you're done with soccer. I retire and I miss it. So one day you will miss it. and while you're still playing, honestly, enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Well, Jose, thank you
course.
so much. I hope you enjoyed the
I really enjoyed it,
conversation. And when we start talking to great mind people, we're talking about the game we love so much, it's fun. Thank you for your time. I think you should come in more often.
Anytime.
As I told you in the beginning of this, and even before the cameras, our doors are open.
Mm-hmm.
Our players are your players. Anytime you have the need, or if you have something that you can come in and shop around at NONA, this is open for you. I think part of my job is to develop that 1%, and then for every kid that you signed, it's exciting. You know, when the 2011s, a couple years ago, we had a bunch of players there. 2009s, we had a couple, and 2010s, we had a couple. I'm happy,
Yeah.
and I think you're going to see more and more and more. So the doors are open for you. When you take one of our players, it's a success for our club, and I want to thank you and welcome you to the community, even though you've been here 15 months already.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that the doors are open for you, and I hope we can have more of these conversations. Take care of my boy over there.
Every day, of course.
And if you need anything from us, we're here. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having
Edgar,
me.
thank you so much again for putting this together. I hope you enjoyed. You learned. We bring in. We bring some heavy hitters here. Huh? We're learning a lot. And for everybody here, I'm going to try to get some special guests here between now and by tryout season. We're going to try to get a lot of content so you guys make the good decisions. And once again, Jose, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Orlando City Academy, for allowing Coach Jose to come in. And thank you, NONA Media, for making the space available for us once again. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you around. Thank you very much.